Hi everyone, it's Krista and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're not new, hello again. So this is my channel. I love to do DIYs on a budget, Dollar Tree DIYs, thrift flips, farmhouse and rustic, REITs, and seasonal decor. So if you like what you see here, know what to do. Hit that red subscribe button. Also leave me comments. I love to hear what you guys think. And also give me a thumbs up. That helps my channel. You can also follow me over on Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok, and Facebook. And I also have an Etsy shop where most of the things I make, or I actually have kits that you can make just like me in my shop. So check that out. Those are all in the description box down below. But today is all about what would you make, and our hosts are Rustic and Lace DIY, Divine Design, and Farmhouse Frugal is the guest host. More about that in a minute, but let's get into DIY number one. So the first DIY, I'm going to be using some of my dark sealing wax, some Mod Podge, and some warm white paint, some ripped fabric, this Blessed that I got from Hobby Lobby, this rat bunny that I actually cut on my laser cutter, and this square sign from the Dollar Tree. But you can also use this from the Dollar Tree if you don't have a rabbit like that. You could just use that. So next, I'm going to take the Mod Podge, and I'm going to spread that all over my square piece of wood sign. And then I'm going to put down this scrapbook paper. Now this scrapbook paper is from Hobby Lobby, and I like it because it looks old, rustic, and it looks like cracked wood, and I like that. So I put the Mod Podge down, and then I put a little iron, use my mini iron to iron it down so that there wouldn't be any bubbles. And then I went around the edges and sanded it, and then put the holes back in the top there with my little hole piercer. And then I'm going to paint the bunny that I cut out with warm white paint, and then the Blessed I'm going to paint black. Next, I have this stamp that has like cursive writing on it. Don't know what it says, but it's just for looks. And I'm going to put some ink, black ink on that, and then I'm going to start putting it all over the bunny. This is going to give it that vintage old look, and I love this technique. I think it's so cool. And you just do it in areas, you know, wherever. And then I'm going to take the dark sealing wax. This you can find in my Amazon shop. I use this all the time if you're new to my channel. I love using it. Makes things look a little old and rustic. And I'm using a stencil brush, and I'm just going around the edges. And if you get too much, you see I have a baby wipe there. You just dab it with the baby wipe, and it comes right up. And I just do the edges of this bunny, and it just gives it a really cool look. It's also going to make it like stand out a little bit more on that background that I'm going to be gluing it on. And then I'm also going to go around the edges of the board as well, the little sign here, square sign. Now you can use these signs, these square pieces as a sign. You can use it as a shelf sitter. I mean, you can, so many things. But I thought it would be really cool just to use this paper because I really liked it. Next, I'm going to glue this all down to the square piece. I'm going to use I love using this glue. It's super wood glue from Dollar Tree, and it is the best. It works so good, you guys. I use it all the time. And some hot glue. So I used a combination of both. Then I'm going to glue my bunny down. And then the Blessed sign I'm going to glue down as well. And I think this turned out super cute. It's so rustic, and I just love that style, guys. But you can use whatever scrapbook paper you want. I mean, you could do this so many different ways. So, and you can also use, they have bunnies that look like this that you can actually use from the Dollar Tree as well. Then I put this little bow. It's a fabric bow that I made, and I put a little bit of lace in there as well. And put a little button in the middle, and then put a little bit of greenery there on the side there. Now this greenery I get from Hobby Lobby, and it's a huge garland, and it's awesome. I love it. It lasts so long. So today is about what would you make. So everything we're making is of wood, and these are our hosts and the guest hosts like I told you. There's also going to be a playlist. So go down below in my description box and click on the link, and you can watch everybody's videos. And also don't forget to check out the hosts as well. So now DIY number 2. So now this DIY, I'm using this big checkered stencil that I got on Amazon. I'm going to be using this ribbon. I also got that on Amazon. I'm going to be using some of these flowers that I've had for a long time. Some gel stain and some paints, and then this bunny that I also cut out of my laser cutter. But you can get these bunnies at Hobby Lobby as well. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the gel stain and a baby wipe. And all I do is squirt it on to my surface, and then I'm just going to wipe it with the baby wipe. And then once I get it all down, then I wipe it with a paper towel to get the excess up. Next, I'm going to use, these are 14-inch circles. I get these also at Hobby Lobby and online. You can get them too on Amazon. And I painted that white. Next, I'm going to paint the high that I cut on my laser cutter with black paint. Now, this kit you can find in my Amazon shop if you did just want to buy the kit and do it yourself. I also have the finished product on there as well. So I sprayed some pixie spray down so that my stencil would stay down. And then I'm using a roller. This is a sponge roller from the Dollar Tree. And you don't want to have a lot of paint on them. That's the trick, okay? You do not want a lot of paint on these when you roll it because it'll bleed underneath. Even though the pixie spray's down, you're still going to get bleeds. So hardly any paint on it. And you just roll over the top of it. And that's going to give you that checkered look. Like so. I love that look. Then I went in my garage and I sanded the whole thing, and I sanded it and I wore it out in certain spots because that's the look I was looking for. Then I take the gel stain. This is oak gel stain. I get it at Hobby Lobby, and I just went over it with a baby wipe, and then I took a clean baby wipe and I went over it again and wiped all that excess up. I did it 3 times, and now you got some of that stain in there where them crevices are where I sanded, and it makes it look really old and rustic, and I love it. Next, I'm going to use some of the glue again, and I'm going to glue down my bunny. This is my favorite bunny. I just love this checker look. I think it's so cool. It's different, and yeah, I actually made one for myself to hang on my door. Next, I'm going to take the tail and I'm going to just, sand around the edges as well. I want that to look worn too, just so kind of everything goes together. I did sand around the bunny as well, the edges of it. And then I'm going to glue down the high as well. And then we're going to take some of those florals and everything and put a hanger on it and all that good stuff. But this, I just love the checker look. I think it's so cool. And I'm thinking about doing a bunny checker as well. Like just the bunny. And then I'm going to put down some of this lamb's ear. And I staple mine down. And then I made a bow. And I just used that one ribbon for this bow. And I just did 2 loops on each side. And I glued that in the center. And now I'm just going to take from this pick that I had. I don't remember where I got this pick, you guys. It could have been Hobby Lobby. It could have been Michael's. Not sure. I don't remember. I've had it for a long time. But you could take whatever greenery you have, that you like, and just put that on. But this ribbon is from Amazon, and it is in my Amazon shop down below. And there it is, you guys. I think this turned out so cute. I love it. It's 14 inches, so perfect size for a door. And yeah. So now let's go on to DIY number 3. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. I love to hear what you guys think. So now I'm going to use this bunny from Hobby Lobby. And I'm going to use some wax, antiquing wax, some of the Silsa. I'll explain that in a minute. And then this button. And I'm going to go around the edges with a brush and this antique wax. I get this on Amazon. It's just, it's just regular stain. I use a baby wipe all the time when I do stains. And I'm just going to stain the whole thing, wipe with the baby wipe, and then I'm going to go over it with, a paper towel to get all the excess scoop up, like so. And I did front and back. And then once I did that, I went in with the hunter green color, and I'm going over the top. Now you're like, why did she just do that color and now she's going over the top? Well, the reason is because I'm going to sand the edges, which you'll see in a minute, and that's going to bring a lot of that antique color out. Okay, I'm going to sand the whole thing too, so you can see some of that underneath. So that's the reason I do that. And then once I get this on, I only did one coat of the green. And then I'm going to go around the edges with this little tool, my little scraping tool from the Dollar Tree. And you're going to see some of that on the edges. And then I'm also going to go over the top of it again, which you'll see in a minute, once I sand it with that wax as well, with the stain. I keep calling it wax because it's antique wax. See, now I'm going to go in with a heavy sanding with my little sander. This is also in my Amazon shop. If you guys don't have one and you want one, they have these on Amazon. And then once I sand everything, you sand it as much as you want. You don't even have to do this part. I do it because I like this look. But, you know, you guys don't have to. You can skip this part. And then I'm going to go over the top of it with my baby wipe and some of the antique stain. And just keep wiping it and get it how I like it. And now you're going to see a lot of the brown now, which I love. Love, love, love. And then I put a strip of fabric over around its neck and tied it in a knot. And now I made a bow with the fabric and I put that in the center and then my little button. Now this is called Silsa and I just discovered it this year and I really like it. So it's just like some extra put and I really like it on the Easter projects because it looks like, you know, it almost looks like moss or something like that, but it's white. So I like it. And then this little sprigs that I got here, these little tiny flowers, I got the stem from Hobby Lobby. They have them right now, 40% off, you know, how they have it every other week. And I stuck a couple of those in there. And then this is from that same garland that I told you about that I get from Hobby Lobby. They look like little berries. I love this garland. It lasts forever, guys. I'm telling you. So it's so worth it to get it when it's 40% off. And there you go. I stuck that in there. And there's your little bunny. And he's so rustic and cute. I just love it. And I thought green was a nice change from the other bright colors. So now DIY number 4. So this one, I'm taking some hazelnut paint. This is, actually, I don't even know if I used that. But anyway, I'm using some dark sealing wax. I'm using some more, this is wired twine that you get at Dollar Tree. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to paint this block of wood. You could get a block of wood from Dollar Tree. And I painted it with the hazelnut. Now I'm making the wired things into the bunny's ears because we're going to make a bunny with this. And I just twisted them on the ends and then I stapled them down to the wood on top. Now I'm going to make little cheeks. And I'm just using this makeup brush and my distressing wax. This is the color lipstick. And next I'm showing you a little bit how I make my fabric bows. I have tons of videos with showing this, guys. So I didn't leave it all in this video because this video is a little bit longer than normal for me. And I just use different fabrics. I cut them in strips and then I just loop them back and forth in my little Bodabra. And that's how I make them. Really easy, you guys. Not hard to make these bows. And they just look really cool. I love them. I love making these kind of bows because they don't have to be perfect. And then I just tied in a knot with my twine and then tied in the back in a knot as well to make sure it stays. And then I just trim off the excess tails to, you know, how short I want them. And then we're going to glue that to the top there where the ears are and they're stapled so you don't see those staples and everything. And give her a little bow. And then I'm going to make the little eyes. So what I did is I used the back of a paintbrush and I just dip it in some black paint. And then I just dab it down and make my little eyes. Now they weren't big enough, so I went back in and dabbed again to make them a little bit bigger. And I'm not really good with making faces, so I did not draw. And then I did draw the nose, though. I made a round nose for this bunny, and I used my black paint marker to do that. And first I did with pencil, of course, in case I made a mistake. And next I did little dots of white in the centers of the black eyes. And then I did little dots on the cheeks with some acrylic paint. And then I did some lines on the nose. And then I did also some eyebrows at the top. Next, I'm going to take one of these tags. This says Hop on it. I already used my stamp to stamp hop on there. And now I just make my tags look old, so everything kind of goes together. So I use my dark wax, I roughed up the edges of the tag, and then I crumbled it up in my hands. I get my tags from Hobby Lobby. I also did the dark wax on the bottom of the bunny and on the sides to make them look a little bit old. And I just like how this looks. This is the look I go for. And this wax will last you a long time, you guys. Like, this wax has lasted me very long because you don't use a lot of it. And you rub it with your finger too, so a little goes a long way. And then I'm going to take the tag and I'm going to glue that to the center up top near where the little bow is. And I'm going to put this button in the center of the tag. Now, I decided I wanted something on the little ears. So I took some twine, wrapped it around my hands a few times, and I'm just going to make a tiny little bow here. And then I just tied some string around it and made like this cute little twine bow that's kind of like fluffy looking. And tied in a knot. And then I'm going to tie it onto the ear there. I just left the excess on there and just tied it right onto the ear. And now she's got a little bow on her ear too, which is super cute. And that's it, you guys. Isn't she cute? I love it. So now DIY number 5. This is the last one. So this one, I'm going to use some dark wax. I didn't end up using that paint. I got some paint there I'm using, some more strips of fabric to make a bow, some more greenery. I'm going to be using the salsa again. And then this I cut in my laser cutter, but they do have eggs at the Dollar Tree that you could make this with too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace it out and then on the scrapbook paper. And now this is called crushed stone. This paint, it's just a folk art paint. And I did that for the bottom around the frame part of the egg and then the other part of the egg. And then I used a candle wax, went around the edges, and then I went over the top of it with white paint after I did the candle wax because we're going to make this look chippy. This is the chippy look. Then once that's dry, you go around the edges with your little scraping tool and you just do around the edges and you're going to see some of that crushed stone on the edges. And wherever that candle wax hit, that's where it's going to pull the paint up a little bit and you're going to get that chippy look. I love doing this technique. It is messy, not going to lie, but it's so worth it because it's so much fun to do, really. I don't know. This gives me some kind of, like, satisfaction. I just like doing it. I don't know. Even though it's messy, it's just fun to do, and it's fun to see it like this. So, yeah. So I just go around the edges, and you can see some of the paint got scraped up. The bunny I did in white, and I'm going to do the little dot in front with the end of the paintbrush, the other end of the paintbrush for his nose, and then I'm doing a little dot with that tool there from the Dollar Tree for his eye. And then I just took my finger and put it on. It made a little cheek with the antique wax. And then this, I'm using my little tiny makeup brush, and I'm going around the edges to give him like a distress look around the edges. And this is like a gray color distress oxide that I used. I can't remember the color, you guys, but it's like a gray color. Just to kind of tie in with that stone color. And then I'm going to go over the top of the other part of the egg, and we're going to put down that pretty, I think it's so pretty, this scrapbook paper. And I got the scrapbook paper from Hobby Lobby. And then I'm going to smooth it down over the Mod Podge. And of course, I use my iron to make sure there's no bubbles. And I just smooth it with my mini iron. You don't have to do this, but I just do because I don't like it when it bubbles sometimes. And then I went around the edges and got off all the excess with my sander. Now we're going to glue the frame part over the egg. And I just used hot glue and glued that down. And then I'm going to take some of the salsa again, and I'm going to cut a piece out, and I'm going to put that down. I don't remember if I told you guys, that salsa I get on Amazon, so that's in my description box as well. Yeah, in the Amazon shop, I should say. And then I glued that down on the bottom because I'm going to kind of have the bunny sitting on it. And then you just trim up, you know, any of those crazy ones that are just sticking out everywhere. So I trimmed it up a little bit with my scissors. And then I'm going to glue down my bunny. Now this one, I'm going to try and have it in my shop today so you guys can, if you wanted to get this kit, you can and make it yourself. And all of my little decor pieces like this come with a stand. So you don't have to worry about how it's going to stand up because it comes with a triangle piece that gets glued on the back and it stays and it keeps it up, standing up. And then I glued some more of the greenery that I used in the other ones. This one was some more of those little flowers. This one was, they're like a white color flower. And they had pink ones too. And then I stuck down some of that greenery from the thing. And then I glued my bow on top and put a button in the middle. And then I took some more of that. This is from the garland that I've been using throughout the video. And I cut a few pieces off. And I'm going to put them down, coming down the side on the top. I thought that would give it a nice little touch. And I just glued them underneath the bow. Just put a little glue. And I think this turned out so elegant. It's so pretty. And I like that look. It's just so pretty for Easter. Look at how cute he is. That bunny's so adorable. And then this is the square piece. This is the triangle piece. You just glue it down into the slit and then just put a little bead of glue on each side. And then you glue it to the back of your kit. You just glue it to the back when you're all done, like so. And there you go. And then it stands up. And that's it, you guys. So I hope you liked everything. Let me know what you think down below in the description box. In the comments. Don't forget to watch everybody, you guys. They're all so talented. And also don't forget to subscribe. And I want to thank you guys for watching. And as always, remember, stay crafty. Bye.